I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, December the 20th, brought to you in part by Norfenacol by Norbrook. Get to the bottom of BRD fast. Make Norfenacol your first choice. Norfenacol is the bioequivalent of Nuflor, but it's not nearly as thick and much easier to use when the temperatures are cold out. It's approved for both sub-Q and intramuscular use, and exclusively offered in plastic bottles, so you don't have to worry so much about losing product due to breakage. But for more information, go to norbrook.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market in north central Missouri and Creston Livestock Market in south central Iowa, they're on their Christmas break right now, so taking a couple of weeks off there like most markets are. But their next sales coming up will be Tuesday, January the 7th at Unionville Livestock Market, having a regular sale there. And then on Wednesday, January the 8th, up in Creston, Iowa, going to be having a special all-vaccinated calf and yearling sale. But Kurt and Heather Spore Leader and Cody Fry up in Creston, they all want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be sure to check out their website for upcoming sales, and be watching on DVAuction.com. You can view and bid their sales right there. New highs pre-holiday and pre-cattle on feed report. On Thursday we saw highs regionally. I'm not saying a brand new threshold for the history of the world, but regionally all across the country in different spots we're seeing calf sales higher than we've ever seen them before, and we saw that on Thursday. I'm going to give you some of those at the end of the report like I always do, but just unbelievably high prices paid on these light stocker calves. We saw a new high that I've never seen before on some near-rear big feeders like they sell up in the northern plains. The biggest price I've ever seen on feeders weighing nearly 1,100 pounds. And then we saw your choice boxes just vault on Thursday afternoon, up $5.85 on your choice cuts, with some hand-to-mouth purchasing by our wholesale buyers there. So, you know, things are looking pretty good, even though the market has planed out a little bit here the last couple of weeks before the big Christmas break. But I think we're in good shape here, and all eyes are going to be on the cattle on feed report coming out here today on Friday at 2 o'clock Central. And I think the cattle on feed report has a very good chance of being bullish in comparison to the average of the analysts' guess. And if it's indeed bullish, I think we're going to go right on when we start the sales back up after the Christmas break. And we'll keep vaulting and see how far this thing can go. It could go a little bit longer as we get through some of these fancier strings of long-time weaned calves that they'll be selling in the Midwest, some in the northern plains, even though a lot of those northern plains sales have kind of finished up their big calf sales there. But we're sitting in a pretty good spot. Now, if we come out with a bearish cattle on feed report, which could happen, it would really surprise me if the cattle on feed report is bearish. But if it does, then maybe it's time to put the brakes on these new highs. But we were going right along here, and I've got several impressive quotes to tell you all around the circuit, and the circuit being the 48 states. And I'm going to give those to you towards the end of the report like I always do. But here on the feeder flash, we always want to celebrate your auction markets, your brick and mortar sales. We love to promote the sale barns. That's why I always give you the top prices, and people are taking their cattle to the sales, maybe more so than they are a lot of years, because the market is so good, and it's way better than what they would have the gall to ask somebody in the country. So we like to promote the sale barns, and with help from Vitex Tags, we do that every month. We talk about a market that has been doing a really good job for their consigners, having some top prices mentioned regularly all through the month. And this month, your Vitex Market of the Month is Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri. Long time DV auction broadcaster, and you think, well, Lolly Brothers, They're big with their exotic sales. Yes, they still have those. They're big with their horse sales. Yes, they have those. But they have been doing an excellent job marketing cattle for their local producers there in central Missouri. And they've just been making highs, stick out sales pretty much every time they've had a sale here for the last month, 6 weeks, and we wanted to give them credit for that. It's a family-owned business since 1947, and we want to congratulate Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri for being this month's YTEX Market of the Month. Let's talk about your board. On Thursday, December live cattle futures were down 95 cents. The board's paying no attention to what's going on in cash right now. And their December live cattle ended Thursday's session at 190.35, with cattle bringing 194 to 196 in the northern plains and in the Midwest. February live cattle futures down 177 at 186.55. Your back months were down 132 to down 202. January feeder cattle down 252 and almost a full $10 cheaper than our cash index levels. Of course, it's the January contract, so they don't have to worry about coming together, even though it's cash settled for another several weeks there. But down 252 on the January at 254.47. March down 280 at 254.57, and then your back months down huge, down 295 to down 320. So your LRPs aren't looking real good to you right now, even though you can't ride any today on Friday because it's cattle on feed day, and the new rule from USDA says you can't ride LRPs on the volatile cattle on feed Fridays. Your grains, March corn was up 3.5 cents a bushel at 440 3/4. Beans for January up 11.25 cents a bushel at 963. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat for March down 5.5 cents at 543 1/4. Talk about your fat cattle trade, brought to you by Legacy Beef Cooperative, guys. Check that deal out. I think it's a good investment, something you might want to look into, and a pretty sound place to put your money in. You'll be able to trade those kill slots once they get that plant open, guys. But a little bit of trade, mostly in the northern plains, of course, on a direct basis in your 5 area. Iowa sold 3,400 on Thursday. They've sold 12,400 for the week. Don't know how much more business they're going to do. They bought several cattle for the 2 to 4 week delivery a week ago, so their packers may be fairly well set up for the holiday season there with some abbreviated schedules, but likely they would like to get some more cattle around them. But your feeders are just playing hardball. They want more money. And live sales in Iowa on Thursday, 194 to 196, and dress sales from 302 to 305. Nebraska sold 2,400 on Thursday, 10,200 so far for the week. Live sales in Nebraska on Thursday, 194 to 195, mostly all 195, and just one price on dressed, and that was 305. And so that would be pretty impressive, guys. How about Kansas sold 700 head is all, 2,400 for the week, and the live price in Kansas on Thursday was 191, which is basically steady with last week. But you know there's plenty of feeders out there just waiting for them to establish that 191 so they can sell theirs $2 to $3 over that price. Texas hasn't sold a hoof. Direct negotiated sales this week. We did see some beef on dairy cattle sell on the Fed Cattle Exchange, bid the grid base at 192, and that was on Thursday morning. Box beef cutout values, I told you a little bit ago that choice cuts launched on Thursday afternoon. Choice cuts were up 585. That is a huge gain there at 320.69 Thursday afternoon. Selects are actually down 144 at 284.11. Your slaughter up through the first 4 days of the week, 485,000 estimated cattle slaughter. That's 4,000 less than this point just a week ago, and 10,000 less than this point a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come back for the week ending December the 7th and had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 952, which sounds huge, but remember we reached 960 here just a couple of weeks ago, so it is coming down just a little bit. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. That's Dakota Moss and all of his agents that he works with here that are listed, and you can call any of them if you have questions or you want to fill out an application for an LRP. They are your LRP specialists. Dakota wants us to be sure and remind you again that there will be no LRPs today on Friday because it's Cattle on Feed Friday, and likely you're going to want that board to bounce back up on those way out fronts there before you take out any new LRPs anyway. But check them out at livestockriskservices.com. Let's talk about your Cattle on Feed report that's coming out here today on Friday. This is the average of the analysts' guess. Now, their average guess for the on-feed inventories for December the 1st are 99.9% of the same report a year ago. So first time we'd seen anything less than 100 for a long time. But placements is where it's at. Placements in November, they've got them pegged at 95.9. I think it is very reasonable that we would see them around 91, 92, but you just never know. But marketing's for November at 98.2, and they usually have a pretty good handle on those. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late on Thursday after the sales had all closed, sitting at 263.87 based on an 800-pound steer up through your middle 12 states there in your auctions. That was down 54 cents from the end of Wednesday's trade there. So we did see a little bit of pullback on some of your bigger feeders there. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 260.23. A couple of big sales that you want to look for on Friday on DVAuction. One's in St. Ange, South Dakota. Justin Tupper there, he's having a bred heifer and bred cow special there. Several dispersals on there and some really nice stock. If you guys hadn't checked that out, get on there and check them. He is selling all classes of cattle on Friday, but it'll be mostly in that bred heifer and bred cow special. And then I'm coming to you from Fallon, Nevada. Going to have a big sale in Fallon, Nevada at Nevada Livestock Marketing, guys. We're going to start earlier than normal. It's going to be 9 o'clock local time. That'll be 11 o'clock central out there. That's earlier than what we typically start. We've got a lot of nice feeders. Going to have about 4,500 head. That's what Jack Payne just texted me a minute ago. I got a lot of nice cattle there. And then recently this week he got a big consignment of some replacements. So going to have some bred cows and some pairs on there too. We're not going to sell them until 6 o'clock p.m. local time, and we're hoping that we have most of the feeders sold by then. But check them out on DVAuction.com. We sell a lot of cattle online there out of Nevada Livestock Marketing, and we hope to do that again here on Friday. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas at 2,200 head. The steers sold from $4 to $10 higher. Heifers were steady to $5 higher. Not a huge run, but a pretty good sized run this close to the holiday, guys. Another big sale straight north of there. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 2,800 head for them. The calves sold really good. Steer calves were $5 to $8 higher. Heifer calves $2 to $6 higher, but over 650 pounds, very uneven. And some of your feeder weights were some lower, some quite a bit lower, and then some higher. It was just all over the place on your bigger feeders there in Salina, but the calves really sold well. Now I'm going to give you some of those really impressive individual quotes that I talked about earlier in the report. One's from Intermountain Livestock Exchange in La Grande, Oregon. We don't get to talk about them very often, but check this quote out. Way up in the great Northwest, guys. 70 head of steer calves weighed 486, bring 376. We just haven't seen anything quite that high in that part of the country. Another western market way out west, Orland Livestock Commission Yard in Orland, California. They sell 81 steer calves, weigh 478 at 380. And that's whenever they graze the grass in California, guys, in the wintertime. And they've had a lot of moisture, so they're after those calves too. Out there, it's not the wheat and the ryegrass that we see more in the middle part of the country, but it's just your straight up grass. How about that market I told you on some big feeder steers? Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota. Man, check this one out. 60 head of steers, weigh 1077 and bring 253.10. That's $2,726 a head. If you figured those steers fat at 1,500 pounds, which they'll likely take them a lot bigger than that, but if you took them at 1,500 pounds against what the April board is, that gives you about $100 a head to get them there. How about a market right there in southwest Iowa? Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa. DVAuction broadcaster there. 64 head, 818 pound steers, bring 273. Wow. But that's not the most impressive. The most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come to me from Greg Arndt at Valentine Livestock Auction in Valentine, Nebraska. It was the Hell Bar Ranch. They had a long string of calves in there. I'm going to give you a couple quotes that's going to really impress you. How about 201 steers, weighed 547 and bring 380, or 213 head of the little brothers, weighed 476 and bring 435. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.